Hi, I'm Chris. I'm from Eastern Kentucky. I'm a longtime systems administrator and engineering technician looking for new things to learn and new ways to expand my career. I was researching various options, including cybersecurity, GIS, data analytics, C Sharp, and other programming languages when I was introduced to Code Kentucky, and ultimately I chose Code Kentucky and C Sharp as the next step forward. I decided to attempt to write a Maui project for several reasons. Maui targets a large spectrum of platforms, and I particularly wanted to target Windows and Android. Maui wasn't being taught in class, and I wanted to challenge myself to learn as much as possible, similar to how I targeted endpoints instead of controllers in my API project. I wanted to write a media player in Maui because I felt like that would be something fun, but also useful, and I would enjoy using it. Um, the primary functionality that I wanted was an advanced search capability where I could write complex queries to produce semi-curated playlists. And I wanted this project to work with relatively large libraries in a real world setting and potentially over long distance networking. So, a good example of the project is the Jackson Brody playlist. The author of these books listened to specific genres of songs that convey a distinctive feel, which helped her create a subtle and complex character. When these books were turned into a TV show, some of the same songs made up a majority of the music that Jackson listened to in the show. These songs were so important to Jackson's character and to the ambiance of the show that the music itself became like a third character. This is an unusual thing outside of, say, musicals. I began with the 23 songs used in the show, and from there I extrapolated 267 songs that create the same character and aura of the show and of Jackson himself. Along the way, during the project, I tended to spend several hours learning and researching for every hour coding, learning something new almost every day, or a little more accurately, every few days, as sometimes it took more than a day to resolve an issue, work around all the various challenges. One of the interesting compromises that came up was the use of regexes and program logic for the search parsing rather than getting into more complex and time-consuming issues of predicate builders, parsing builders, and full-scale compilers for a language. One of the next issues was the large remote library. I wanted the app to not only read files locally, but also to connect and read from remote libraries. In this particular test case, a large SMB over WAN remote library. The library size alone ended up being an issue with 40 songs locally versus 17,000 songs remotely. Then, along the way, as soon as I started that, I discovered a large number of all those historical MP3 files have missing and malformed data that caused various issues that had to be coded around and mitigated. Then there were working with some other interesting networking issues involving debugging, tracing, performance tracking, and various IO remote operations. And then we had to optimize those as far as when and where to ask for remote file data, caching the results into the local DB, and additionally, while the IO was already running asynchronously, I had to further isolate some specific operations into nested async subtasks. Um, Along the way, I realized I was perhaps a little ambitious in how much I chose to tackle, given time constraints, my time budget, and due in large part to a lack of experience in C Sharp since I was just learning it and choosing to color outside the lines and outside the scope of the class. However, I learned a lot, and I'm very grateful to Ernesto, our class's mentor, for allowing me to take on such a ambitious project and for coming along on the ride and helping me out when needed. What do I want people to know about me? Mostly that I just love to learn and I love to get to use all of my skills to tackle the projects, and I like to help people around me do the same to learn and be the best they can be. I really love the Code Kentucky class and would love to continue to learn as well as help others learn. And that's about it. If you have any questions, just want to chat, drop by the breakout rooms after our presentations.